Surely it's Brisbane's most significant win of the year. It's the great escape. They were gone. They were down 18-0. And they've come to Sydney and knocked off the high-flying Bulldogs. 18-0 down. These are grand final-like celebrations with so many unfamiliar faces, but they deserve this moment. It's been a magnificent comeback. Scenes to savour if you're a Broncos fans, and devastation for the Bulldogs. 2 in a row, first time this year for Canterbury they've lost. And the Broncos can dream big. 4 in a row. What a night this has turned out to be. Full time at a core. Broncos, a memorable one. 22 points to 18.
Well, the Brisbane Broncos pull those 2 competition points out of the fire. Absolute scenes at Accor Stadium, on field and in the coaches' box as they march to 4 wins on the bounce now with an almighty comeback. No one could have seen that one coming. 18-0 down to finish up 22 points to 18. They remain 5th on the NRL live ladder, but they close the gap on the Warriors to just 2 points to sit 1 win outside of the all-important top 4. Greg Alexander, Michael Ennis and Kieran Foran are here, and we are just getting our heads around what unfolded in the final 20 minutes of that game and marvelling at really what nobody could have seen coming.
That is an incredible win. I feel like I'm one of the Dogs fans at Accor Stadium tonight in disbelief.
Shell shock.
Over what's happened, because, and I think the Broncos players feel just the same. I don't think they can believe that they won. When Adam Reynolds kicked the ball out in the full in the 44th minute, I thought, oh, that's it. It's not going to be the Broncos' night. Off the back of that, the Dogs then added 2 points to their half-time lead, which was 16-0. They then led 18-0. At the 60th minute, they still led 18-0. Brisbane didn't look like they were in the game at all. They scored 4 tries in 13 minutes to win the game. You can see what it meant to them. They have now won 4 in a row. That is one of the more remarkable wins that we've seen this year.
Absolutely stunning. Like you're right, Brendan. The 60th minute, the Broncos were just completely not in the game, and not only not in the game, like playing probably as poorly as we've seen them play all season. Like individuals coming up with errors that we rarely see. Like they just had no answers for the rushing defence of the Bulldogs, who had completely unsettled them. A shutout at half-time, 16-0. You're right, the penalty goal in front took them to 18-0. And at the 61st minute, when Karapani scored, you thought, well, there's a bit of life. There's a bit of hope.
But you still didn't.
And then all of a sudden, they just completely self-destructed the Dogs. 7 errors in the second half.
In that period.
In that period. Yes. And look, they had 4 missed tackles at half-time. They finished with 17 or 18 in that period. It just fell apart for the Dogs. But, boy, you've got to give some credit. I thought Ezra Mam's final 20 minutes was absolutely stunning, like absolutely brilliant.
Yep. Yeah, he stepped up, didn't he, Ezra? I mean, when the game was there to be grabbed, he grabbed it. And we spoke about it pre-game, just the strike he possesses down that left-hand side. He came up with beautiful pass selection. He hit the mark every time. That's the value that he adds to this Brisbane side, and they don't need an invitation to get into a game of footy. I mean, they've got strike all over the footy field.
But they just didn't look like that was their game tonight.
No, well, the Dogs allowed them back into it. Yeah. I mean, the Dogs will be filthy. To control the game the way they did for 60 minutes, dominate field position, play high percentage footy, get the ball down the other end, but then in the second half to come up with, what was it, 7 errors? I mean, they gifted Brisbane a chance back into that game.
Well, let's have a look at how they did it with our smart plays of the day brought to you by Complete Home Filtration, and it belongs to our match-winning moment for the Broncos. Brandy, talk us through it.
Well, they were incredible. They really were. Katoni Staggs was another one of the players that just came alive. Like, Katoni wasn't that bad in the opening 60 minutes, but just came alive in the second half, in this 20-minute period. And was a trouble for the Dogs' defence every time he got his hands on the ball. And then it was Brendan Piakura who hit the line like a missile off a pass from Ezra Mam, and just was not going to be stopped. And that got them in the lead and won them the game. But the damage was done before that too. And I agree with what Kieran said about Ezra Mam was just... You know, and that was his best performance, and it was only a 10-minute cameo, but it was enough to get them the win.
There's a couple in that final 20 minutes that really ignited. Staggs started to see a bit of footy. He didn't get a lot of opportunity because of that rushing defence. They just couldn't get the ball to the edges, and they looked clunky, Brisbane. He was one. I thought Willison was great tonight. I thought Xavier Willison, without Haas, without Carrigan, he was absolutely terrific. No Jensen, who was ruled out during the week. I thought he was superb. Billy Walters' injection into number 9 in that final 20-25 minutes.
Yep.
Boy, you're right, Brandy. Impact's the word. That's exactly what they needed from Billy. He brought some real spark to the ruck and created some opportunities and scored a really important try. There was some great performers. Ezra Mam in that final 20 minutes. To say it again, he was absolutely dynamic. He was terrific.
I still think we're trying to figure out how the Broncos actually won the game, because it's not like, you know, the Broncos were playing okay and, you know, the Dogs were just easily the best side for 60 minutes, easily.
It looked like they'd come with the game plan to put Adam Reynolds under the pump, and it was all going perfect.
I was engraving the Man of the Match award to that man, Viliami Kickout, just for that reason, for the pressure that he put on Adam Reynolds, and for the game plan that the Dogs came to the game with was working a treat, because there wasn't a Brisbane player that you would have fed after 60 minutes. But they win the game because they do have players that can just hurt you if you give them the opportunity.
I mean, is this a sign of...
This is a great ball.
This was brilliant by Ezra.
Yep.
And off the back of what you're touching on, I mean, is this a sign of Brisbane's growth? We've now seen them come from behind against Cronulla. They've done it again against Dogs tonight. And we were talking about it pre-game in regards to them starting fast and blowing teams off the park. But they've shown the last couple of games that they can hold it together and actually claw their way back. And that was a gritty win. As you touched on, nothing was going right for them for 60 minutes of that game of footy.
Yeah, you can tell by their reaction at full time. This win, that's 4 in a row. This win could do something special to this Broncos team. They're 2 points out of the top 4 now.
Come from 11th.
The Warriors are shaky. The Warriors are shaky, and only because of the injuries.
Yeah.
The Warriors might surprise us all too. You know, they've got a bit of fight in them, the Warriors. But to lose the players that they have over the last few weeks puts them in a vulnerable position.
Yep.
And the Broncos side to get that done tonight is incredible, really.
Yep. Ezra Mam, no surprise, is our KFC FLG MVP, as voted for by the fans. We spoke about him and the, combination, him and Adam Reynolds, what they can put on when they get it on, but really it only came to fruition in the last 20 minutes, but you can still steal away the MVP.
Yeah, he was absolutely terrific in that final 20 minutes. He still threw plenty of punches, in that 60-minute period. The Bulldogs just did a really good job of frustrating and taking the time away from Mam and also Adam Reynolds when they had the footy in their hands, but persistent, and he stayed at it, and then all of a sudden the Dogs started to make some errors. The Dogs started to get a little bit fatigued. They lost that ability to be able to get that heavy line speed. They lost the ability to get that pressure from the inside, and all of a sudden Mam just started to grow in confidence and dictate terms, not only with ball in hand, but also his kicking game down that left-hand side of the field. He was incredible. He was involved in everything. Everything they did well, he was involved.
And defensively too. We were watching it out back. I mean, the way he was into it, he was giving it to blokes on the ground. He was trying to find a way to get himself into the contest.
Yep.
And he did that through his kick chase a number of times. He was aggressive, chasing down there. So eventually he found a way to crack them, and when he got there in the end, he was able to capitalise.